Hey everybody, what's going on? Before we get into today's episode, just want to set it up a little bit for you. This is a former We Inspect client who's coming on to tell her story from start to finish. And I think that this is so important to do. And I really like doing these. I love when our clients are willing to do these because a lot of times it's just so helpful to hear somebody else's journey and to see that it's not this weird thing that goes on. Like this happens to everyone. And I think what's even maybe a little more special about today's episode is that our guest is Jenny McCarthy, former MTV star from my childhood, current entrepreneur and wellness brand founder. And the thing that is so interesting about this and what I wanted to get across in this episode, and Jenny was just great as we talked through her whole story and her timeline and her journey and everything that happened, is that this happens to everybody. It doesn't just happen to certain people. It even happens to people like Jenny McCarthy. And what we're going to talk through in the episode is exactly kind of her timeline and what went down and how long it took. And even more importantly, like how you could shave years off of that timeline, how you can get your health back way faster, some of the things that she's doing to even accelerate her healing. But there was a big connection for her, and spoiler alert, she had a mold issue, right? And she had mycotoxins and she had a lot going on. And it took her way longer to figure that out than it needed to. And so, she shares her entire story, everything that she's been through, and advice that she has for people who are going through it at the same time. So I'll cut it off there, but really, really excited for this conversation with Jenny. And I'm sure you guys are going to take a lot out of this. Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing really good now.
Good. And I'm glad. And I'm glad we're going to talk about it. And the first thing I asked when I saw you was like, how are you doing right now? And the answer was positive, which is good.
Really, really good. I mean, it's taken a while. It's been a journey. When I met you, I think they call it Defcon 1 is the worst one.
It's the worst one, right?
The worst one. It's always confusing, but it is Defcon 1. I asked ChatGPT, so confirmed it. But when we met, it's probably when you usually meet people when they figure out they've got mold. And it's just like a devastating, horrible thing to go through.
Yeah. And first off, I'm glad that you're talking about it. Yeah. I feel like, one of the big problems with all this is that people don't think that it can be them.
Right.
And when you have a voice of somebody who has a platform, we start sharing things, which you've been doing outside of this, right? Yeah. You've been public about it. It helps people understand that like, this is a real thing. You're not a weirdo. There's nothing wrong with you. You didn't screw up your house on purpose.
Right.
It's just this stuff happens.
It happens.
But if you want to get better, there's a path to get there.
This is the thing. I was one of those people. Because even though, I was failing in health, which we'll get into, some people would like message me and be like, you're going through this, you should really check for mold. I'm like, I don't have mold. Like, mold for me felt like something people suffered from in the 1800s with bad blood, which, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, that's ridiculous. Or like, I just, for some reason, just did not think I was a person that was going to have mold. Couldn't see it.
Yeah.
I'm very sensitive when it comes to smell. So it was just a conundrum for me. I was shocked. I was literally shocked. I was also grateful.
Yeah.
Because I had a diagnosis, but it was also like, you got to be kidding me. If it happened to me, it can happen for anyone. And that is exactly why I've only just begun to spread the word and shout it from the rooftops. Because now I feel like anyone with chronic fatigue, rashes, gut issues, insomnia, leg cramps, like there's so many health things that, and by the way, everyone has different ones. That's the thing. Like if you Google like some symptoms, you'll go like, well, I didn't have that, so I don't have mold.
Yep.
And for me, mine started off with like gut issues. But I thought, okay, maybe it's just from antibiotics. And it could be just from antibiotics. But I set up a bad terrain as well. So if you're a person that has used antibiotics multiple times, you are now more susceptible to your environment.
It's so funny you're talking about it. I literally just recorded a presentation for a medical conference I'm going to, and I'm presenting all these doctors. And I was talking about, I'm unveiling the concept of dual terrain theory.
Yes.
So terrain theory, which a lot of us know is if you have a healthy terrain, then you're going to be more resilient to
Correct.
infections or whatever's going on. If your terrain is not great, they're going to have a higher probability of causing problems for you, right?
That's right.
So the dual terrain is that your internal terrain is directly impacted by the terrain that your body lives in.
Yeah.
And the thing about the gut that's so interesting, and I learned this from Dr. Jill Krista, she's like, when you breathe, just air, and if there's mold in your house and there's enough of it and you're breathing through your nose, it gets into your sinus and your postnasal drip.
That's right.
And you directly seed your gut.
Yep.
So you're directly impacting your gut, which is why gut is one of the big, it's one of the big things that
And then
people
you
talk
have the
about.
cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets under the biofilms.
Yep.
And then they colonize and you're just screwed.
Well, the other thing that you said was so interesting. Another doctor told me this. He gave this analogy. I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. He's like, it's like you're taking antibiotics with every breath.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Because you're breathing it in and it's seeding in. And we all know what like frequent antibiotic use
That's
does, right? Well, now imagine breathing 20,000 times a day and you're taking an antibiotic every time.
Wow.
Crazy.
Right? And then you become antibiotic resistant, which that was shocking to me. And I had, a year of infections. I had like eye issues. I mean, the things that I look back now and I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought they were menopause symptoms. Because that's another warning I'd love to tell women. A lot of perimenopause and menopause symptoms seem, they're almost identical sometimes to mold poisoning. Like I had severe leg cramps. That was one of mine. And that is a symptom of menopause. And they were so bad that I would be like beating and punching my legs, crying. I'd literally be at 2:00 in the morning. Donnie would find me in Epsom salt baths, like as hot as possible. Then I would have to take a painkiller once in a while because I was that excruciating. And I was like, do I have fibromyalgia? And then fibromyalgia is also a possible, it's under the category of look up mold if you have fibromyalgia. So there's that. And then I would also have like ringing in ears. I would also have like a heartbeat in my ears.
Yeah.
I had skin rashes. I had SIBO. SIBO is a big one, I guess.
So small intestinal bacterial overgrowth.
Yes.
It's tied to gut stuff.
It is. It's like sometimes you don't know which one came first sometimes.
Yep.
Because you can get hit here and it seeds the gut, or you already have a bad gut and you're just
it goes the other way.
it goes the other way. So it's like if you have digestive issues at all, this is what I think. I think everyone should test their house and their body for mold once a year. Honestly.
It's pretty nuts. So in this presentation I was just talking about, I was diving into the mechanism that air has compared to the other big things that we think about now and how they impact our like integrative health, right? So like the big things are food, water, right? Those are things we always talk about. You got to be eating stuff that's good. You can't be eating stuff with toxins and mycotoxins in it, with this, that, or the other. And when you think about how they affect your body, water and food, very important. I'm not saying they're not important. They directly impact one body system in your body, and that's it. Directly. Now they'll indirectly have a cascade, right? But the direct impact is your gut. Air, lungs.
Yep.
We talked about how it directly feeds the gut. And then settlement on your skin and absorption. It's the only external thing that impacts us, that hits us at more than one primary direct body system. And then once it goes in from any of those, now it cascades out. This is why this whole air quality, this mold epidemic, it's a mold epidemic. And you started talking about chronic this and chronic that.
Yep.
It's because they don't know what's causing it. And so they just put the word chronic in front of it because
That's
it happens all the time.
It means you get it a lot and we don't know why.
That's exactly
what I realized it means. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a chronic fatigue sufferer. I'm a chronic fatigue sufferer. No, there is an absolute reason why you are. I mean, now I'm going around and I'm diagnosing everyone with mold. That's the problem once you have it.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is, the few people that I was like, listen, you're suffering, please go get tested. And they did come up positive. And now they're on the journey of cleaning themselves out.
And it's the thing that like we'll talk about, but it's like, and you just said it, we even work with doctors and like, every doctor has their own sort of intake on what they do. Like I want to see this baseline panel of people that I work with. There are so many now.
Right.
That like the dust test is part of their baseline panel.
Yep.
And what they see is that their patient outcomes, which is them getting better, and the velocity at which people are getting better is improving.
Yeah.
Because they're figuring out what's causing the problem
Correct.
in the first place way faster.
Yes.
Instead of trying to treat all this stuff and then realize like, oh, this isn't working. now let's just check if your home is having an issue. And then all of a sudden the home has an issue. And I feel like this was sort of your journey too, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes, with
So let's
my
like talk
journey.
about it a little bit. Like,
Sure. So, when I first got the phone call of like, you've got mold, I thought she was joking. And then I was like, well, this doesn't make sense. We had no like real water damage in our house. And at the same time, my makeup artist that I work with all the time, she was suffering from the same conditions as me. So I said, you go get your nose swabbed and tested as well and see. And she came up positive, like for the exact same things. Now, we both worked in a dressing room for 7 years that was built in 1950, was never renovated, and had an air conditioning unit from 1950. It was Lucy and Desi Arnaz's studio, Red Studios. I probably have to take that part out because I don't want to criminalize them. But bleep, where it was. But there was an air conditioning unit in the window that was little like a crank, and it would just be blowing, and it had like a musty. And I would finally, year 5, I said, "Can we change this thing? Can we change this thing?" Now looking into it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, those filters were never changed."
Yeah.
The room was probably painted over with God knows what kind of mold. But we both were very, very sick. Now, just because me and her were diagnosed, I still, of course, had to check my family and check my own home. So my son and my husband, Donnie, neither of them tested positive for any mold. Now, that doesn't mean our house doesn't have mold. Just because, and this is a big one, everybody, just because other members in the family aren't sick or even getting diagnosed with it, doesn't mean you don't have any mold. It's that they have a different immune system. Their terrain is different than yours. I call myself the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I tweet the first person to tell you something's bad. So I told them, I'm like, you know what? It could have been 5 years down the road, you guys. I'm the canary tweeting in the house telling you there could be a problem. Now, we hired you, we inspect to do our home, and we did find, now every house has mold, but we did find some in our bathroom. And I was like, out of abundance of caution, I wanted the entire thing completely ripped out. So we have a brand new master bath, because that shower can really, if you don't clean it properly, like really properly, it has such a tendency. And even like a bench, I learned from you guys, those bench showers are like a breeding ground. So that was really helpful. And of course, work, I am no longer going inside of that entire building. So that is behind me. But now I'm on the path of recovering my body.
Yeah. I think sharing the timeline of stuff is helpful. So you're at the point, I mean, you were highly functioning. You're a very busy person.
I
You
was
got a lot
still
going
working.
on,
Yeah.
feeling like crap, I'm sure, while you're doing it. So like, how long was that process where you're point like, I'm not feeling right. And you're like pushing through it. Then you're starting to go down, figure out the doctors. Like, how many doctors did you see? How long did it take before you found somebody who got it?
I'm going to say, when I kind of look back at pictures, I can tell I was starting getting really inflamed, and I can't wait to do a picture diary for people to show them. But you can see me about 4 or 5 years ago, like starting to get swollen. Like people kept thinking I was getting fillers, and I'm like, I'm not getting fillers, but my face was swelling, and then my arms were swelling, and I was like, okay, why do I look like I'm fat, but I'm not, and I'm barely eating? Like I'm barely eating, and I seem to be kind of gaining or swelling. And then my gut, I couldn't eat one meal without looking like I was 9 months pregnant afterwards, being severely constipated. And I was literally going to the bathroom once every like 12 days. That's how bad it was. And this might be TMI for everybody. I don't care. I'm that kind of girl. I was having to do home colonics twice a week, like at some point, just to start going to the bathroom. Like I literally was shutting down.
Yeah.
And then in the last year, 2025 is when shit hit the fan, because I started to get, my root canals were becoming severely infected, and my face was blowing up with infection, and wound up getting that pulled out. The next one next to it got infected and pulled out. And then I had root cavitations, like multiple surgeries, because the infection wasn't going away and I wasn't healing properly. And everyone around me, all the doctors were like, you are the healthiest person you know. You do infrared sauna every day. I do IVs once a week. I have a hyperbaric chamber, not to sound like Michael Jackson, but I do. You know, some
I would
people
like
buy
one.
fancy cars. I buy healing things. So I've
Yeah.
been in this healing modality world because my son was diagnosed with autism. So
Mm-hmm.
I had these modalities already built in for him and I have been using them. But I was like, what is going on? Like the mycotoxin, the mold could not, I couldn't fight it with those. When I realized with just even being as healthy as you possibly can, you need help.
Yeah.
So I had like 9 surgeries last year. I started getting these eye chazalians. Now this might seem a little rare and it could be rare, but when I looked into it, there's like the infections I have in my face, the sinuses, it makes sense that I was growing these crazy chazalians. I was growing them every month for 5 months and I had to have them surgically removed because they would grow into like a raisin. And so I'd be like back at the eye doctors, they're injecting needles into my eye and da 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 da. So now my girlfriend had similar symptoms in the gut and rashes, but
Mm-hmm.
she didn't get the crazy infections in the eye stuff. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, it very rare. She had back pain, I had leg pain. So it was just like, you know, you never know what you're going to get in the, like Forrest Gump says,
I
in the
know.
box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. So by December, I finished 2025 with the diagnosis of the mycotoxin poisoning. And then, you know, I finished it up with a good salmonella poisoning. Can you believe it? Over Christmas. And I literally was like 5 days. So I lost like 13, 14 pounds in like 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I declared my health in 2026. I literally said, this is the year I'm going to clean up my body, clean up my house, clean up my work environment, and then I'm going to share the news. I'm a person that's always been very open and honest, especially when it came to my son. And I had a conversation with God. If you help me heal my son, I'll teach the world how I did it. I'm doing the same thing with mold now. And the thing that I've learned about mold is a lot like Lyme,
Yeah.
because in terms of people's not believing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the medical industry forever and ever, and only just until now would brush you off. A doctor would be like, nah, Lyme, nah, it's not real. It's in your head. The same thing with mold. I've heard from multiple people, oh, mold is, everyone has mold. You know, there's more mold outside, Jenny, than there is in your house. But people don't understand that there is a terrain theory as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like there's certain people that can't handle the everyday mold. But it's more than just the everyday mold too. It's the you don't know you had a drip behind the wall or a house you just moved into, you know, a brand new house. Like a lot of these people have contacted me and said, I just moved into a brand new home. It's looked brand new, but during the build there was a leak.
Yeah.
And they did nothing about it and just covered it up. Turns out the like all the walls, the baby's room, black mold behind the walls. The baby has asthma. It's just like these stories are so sad, and and for people not be taken seriously is so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's to me it's like it's a crime. So that's where I want to get out is in front of this as much as possible and say believe people when they say mold. And I hope doctors get a little bit more in tune with how to treat it, because right now you have to go to a functional medicine doctor in order to treat yourself.
Absolutely. It's functional, it's integrative.
Yep.
I mean, the reality is like your general medical doctors, they're not going to get there anytime soon because there's not a code to put in
No,
into the
there's not a
system
code, and they're not
to then
learning it
get
in
your
medical school.
prescription to come out. And, you know, we went to medical school, we read all these books, and, you know, here we are, we're doing our thing now, right? And
Right.
stuff changes and stuff
Right.
evolves. And, you know, it's hard. But the good thing about where we are today is that we have access to all this information and people that are sharing. And so you can heal yourself.
You can.
It's hard because
Yes.
there's so much information. You got to kind
Right.
of weed out like what's real versus what's not. And that becomes really difficult, which is nice where we have people sharing stories and talking about what's going on.
Yeah.
So 2020, 2025 is when you basically figure out. So you have like a 5-year run here.
Uh-huh.
And I think the thing, at least from that piece to take out of it, maybe if you knew in 2020 or 2021, you might not have acted yet because the pain of what was happening might not have been severe enough for you to actually act at that
Correct.
point, right? But if you were able to know at that point what was going on,
100%.
like let's say that let's go back in time. Pretend you knew about the dust test. Pretend you knew about mold and all this stuff. And you said, okay, at what point do I realistically think I would have done something if I knew that, like, hey, something's weird. I'm going to do this at home and just see what's going on. Like, where would have the point been between that 5 years?
When my gut changed, where I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't eat, constipation and rashes, they all kind of showed up similar time. They say that you could tell what's going on in your gut when you can look at your skin,
Yeah.
So that's why it's all correlated. But if I would have known, if someone would have said, hey, Jenny, guess what? SIBO is very much connected to mold poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, I would have done the dust test. Immediately. That's why anybody that talks about they've got gut issues, like even IBS, you name it. I
Yeah.
was like, you've got to do some testing.
So that probably cuts what, 3 years off?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah. And 9 surgeries.
I mean, you just like, even if you test yourself for mold, you test the house for mold, and like, these are not expensive tests to do if you're doing them by yourself. They're very inexpensive tests to do in the grand scheme of things. And even if it says none of it is a problem, is it worth
Right.
knowing and saving 3 years and 9 surgeries?
Right.
Right? For a couple $100.
Exactly. To
Yeah.
me, having those, like the dust test, having that available for people now is going to save and change so many lives. It really, really is. I mean, I only wish I could be in a time machine and go back and have that little test and scoop around and again, it's not just home, it's also your work environment. There's plenty of people who said I had been bombarded by mold at my work. How about the number of letters I got about people saying their schools?
I know schools are terrible.
I mean, like, take the dust test, go to your kid's school and go, no.
You should have seen me scouting schools for my kids. So my kids now are 7 and 4, but when you went a couple of years ago, scouting like their preschools and all this stuff. There was one school that we walked into, had good reviews. I mean, we live in Orange County. There's nice schools and stuff there. I walk in, I look up, see that the roof had been leaking, water's coming down. I told my wife, who's like, she's the reason I'm in this in the first place. And I was like, no. And she looked up, she's like, okay. And we just left. It's just like, so like,
Right?
like we just know. It's like, I don't care what's going on. We'll find another school, but you're
That's
not,
right.
not putting my kid in this place
Heck no.
every day for
No,
years.
no.
When they're younger, their immune system isn't as developed
That's
yet. They're
right.
going to be more susceptible to these things. So it's just,
That's why I tell people, I'm like, get the dust test and go to the school and do a little, there's nothing wrong with it.
yeah,
I'd want to know.
yeah, yeah. So, okay. We talked about the timing. How many doctors did you see?
Well, it depends because I went to eye doctors. I went to mouth doctors. I probably a total of 6.
Yeah.
But my functional medicine doctor was the one that went, hold on a second, because she knows how healthy I am.
Yeah.
And she's like, your blood work's still coming back okay, like for, your levels of everything.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I've got to test you for mold. And I was like, I was so not wanting to do it. I remember the first test I took, I was like, this is going to be.
Did you do the MARCoN nose test?
She did the MARCoN nose test.
Okay.
So sent it in. Now, she calls me with like an urgent call. She's like, I have to call you. We have to talk before the holiday. And I was like, I'm so exhausted from all my surgeries. I just had another one. I'm like, can we please talk after the holiday? I want to just end 2025. And she's like, no, you need to get on the phone with me now.
Okay.
And she's like, you have large amounts of MARCoNs. You also have another mold that causes seizures. So she's like, this is the one that I have clients, if it crosses the blood-brain barrier,
Mhm.
you are in the hospital seizing. And she goes, I have a couple clients that have that. She goes, we need to stop that now from crossing that blood-brain barrier because you've got it. And I was like, what? So I quickly started my detox process.
So how long were you working with her before she tested you for mold?
A year.
A year.
Yeah.
And these are functional doctors
Yeah.
that know this, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is why we have doctors that work with, I mean, that, we partner with or whatever, where they're like, this is your intake.
Yeah.
Your intake is what's in the house, what's your baseline clinicals that we look at. Let's set the stage for what you're looking at.
Right.
You know?
Well, you would think my doctor I had for 25 years because I had a general practitioner
Mhm.
to keep on the side to get those, other tests you need done.
Yeah.
And, scratching his head. No idea. No further testing.
Yeah.
But the functional medicine doctor was like,
They'll get there.
Let me get there.
So, you know, it's interesting. So, the dust test it's IRB certified. So all the data is certified for human clinical trials. So we're
Great.
building like a big data set for that.
Oh, good.
Got the first batch of kind of like preliminary stuff out of it, data stuff out of it, which I'm presenting at this conference I'm doing in a couple weeks. Hundreds of people in. When you do the dust test, you can say, have I done mycotoxin testing? And you can say, if you have, there's like a survey. And if you have, you could even indicate the toxins that you have. And then we'll map the molds in your house that produce them, right? So we'll literally like show you, well, these molds in your house are making these toxins in your body. 96% of people, hundreds of people, 96% of people who had mycotoxins in their body had, on average, this is what's even the crazier part. Not only 96% of people had the molds in their house that connected them, which is pretty much every single person.
Yeah.
They had 11 molds in their house on average that connected to what was in their body. This is basically every single person, multiple molds in their house that are correlating to the toxins in their body. Not just one, not just two, 11.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
What has changed in terms of, is it our bodies are not as strong to fight them? Is it the builds aren't? Are the houses being built differently? Is it terrain? Is it the house? Is it all of the above? Or is it we're just being able to diagnose it now? What has changed that we're seeing more and more of it?
I actually think it's a blend of a lot of those things, right? If you look back historically, homes were built a little different, right? So that might have resisted it a little bit. Now it's like cheaper stuff coming in, right? And it's not just like the water damage and mold stuff, frankly, but we're using cheaper materials to build. There's different chemical off-gassing. There was a period of time where everything had formaldehyde in it. Now all of a sudden we're having to dial that back, right? The VOC stuff that's coming off. You know, there's a lot that goes into our bodies, right? So I think if you look back over time, I think what's really happening is that our bodies are just being bombarded with more, not just mold, but like everything. Yeah. And so then if you imagine our immune system as a funnel, our funnel's getting built up with a lot of stuff, not just mold, right? There's microplastics here, and there's chemicals here, and there's all the things that are kind of building up. And then you layer mold on top of it, and it overflows the funnel, and then you get the cascade of everything. So I think that's part of it. Our homes are built way tighter now than they used to be. So you're not getting any natural like dilution of air. So if you use this analogy, let's just say like you put a garbage can here that had a fire in it and smoke was coming out of it, right? Well, if the room was aerated and diluted, it wouldn't fill up with smoke as fast. But if you airtight squeeze that room, the thing is going to be filled with smoke way faster. And that's kind of what's happening in our homes right now, too.
You're right. And then can you explain one other thing for me that I never understood?
Yeah.
Because I hear it talked about, and I've heard you talk about it briefly, but I was like, oh, I need more explanation. This might help you too. The negative air hole idea, like you have to make, what is the negative air in your house? I don't understand. Like you turn on an exhaust fan, it creates negative air. You don't leave it on too long. Please explain that.
Well, so broadly, there's air currents that move through your house all the time.
Okay.
I was on stand as an expert witness in a trial like a month ago. And I was explaining this because the question was, well, how can this mold behind the wall that can't impact you? It's over here. You're over here. How do you breathe this? And I was like, have you ever like opened a door or a window and another door on the other side of the house shut by itself?
Right.
And everybody on the jury pool is like, oh, no, that makes sense. I'm like, well, your houses are not haunted. Not every single, maybe one of your houses are haunted.
Great.
It's like maybe your house is haunted, but not all of you. That can't be all of you. This is what's happening. You're changing the air pressure of your house. Every time that you open a door or window, you turn on an exhaust fan, you turn on your heating air conditioning system, air pulls and moves and shifts. If you open a door or window to the outside, air is escaping. Your building has to have a certain amount of air in it all the time to be balanced. So if something leaves, imagine it feels like it's suffocating. Right. And it has to breathe as hard as it can to get new air in to balance itself.
Okay.
That's why the door slams shut.
Got it.
Right. So you have air that moves up and down. And when you pull exhaust fan out of the house, for example, you're pulling air out. It has to come back.
Okay.
Right. So then you get stuff that's pulling in. So you constantly have this like movement of air that happens in the house.
So when you open up your windows in the winter time, if you live in the Midwest, you can only do it a certain amount of time, like 5 minutes. Does it matter how long?
So honestly, like our homes, the way that they're built now, it's better to be diluting air like that, right? So like one of the quick fixes that people can do in a house, like if I'm having exposure, somebody comes to me, they're like, hey, we did a dust test. We know there's something going on. We can't get this handled for 2 months, 3 months, whatever it's going to be. Like, what do I do right now? Right? Like, how do I
Yeah.
do this? Right? And there's like 3 easy things. One, air filter, high quality air filter, air purifier. And just to backtrack, like the philosophy behind this is if you're reacting to something, it's because you're being exposed to it. So if we're trying to make like a short, quick fix on something, you reverse engineer the exposure. If it's at my face, then what I need to do is try to reduce as much of it that's at my face as much as I can.
Right.
Right. And you work backwards. Right. So the first thing is the air that's already in the air.
Right.
Okay. So air filtration will pull stuff out that's less that you're breathing. Okay. That's one way to do it. Second way is like air flushing or air dilution in your house. If you open the front door and the back door or window or whatever in your house, you don't have to do it for very long. You do it for like 10 minutes, 5, 10, 15 minutes. You're going to get air that moves through the house. Like I know when I open both of my doors, I feel this breeze. I'm like, oh, it's so nice.
So
it feels
nice.
Great. So you're flushing out, right? So imagine the smoke we just talked about in the room from the thing. And then you open 2 things and you get air pushing all of it out. You're going to dilute some of the smoke, right?
Okay.
So I got air purifier sucking some of the smoke out. I got air flow and flushing, pulling some of the smoke out.
That's going to help immensely.
That's going to help in the short term, right?
Yes.
And it's something you can do repetitively just to kind of help continuous exposure. Right?
So you do the dust test, you get some answers back that you don't like, but that's something immediately you can do.
Yeah.
Because that is the thing. You get results and you panic.
Yeah. And you shouldn't yet, right? I mean, you said it earlier too, like every house has mold, right? And so it's not so much like, do I have it? You're going to have mold issues.
Exactly. Everyone will have it.
It's a matter of like, are many of them very high? Which ones are very high? And then this is the thing where it gets complicated. And that's why we have back end interpretation calls on like anyone who gets a dust test gets a call with my team. Like it's just part of it to go through it. Certain mold types indicate more likelihood of interior growth in the house versus things from other places versus cross contamination, right? So you kind of like got to dig into it and get a better feel for it. But yeah, I mean, it's going to show you some things. And I think it's really important to know those things, right? Versus ignorance is bliss. I'm going to go through this other process when the reality is this other thing that I'm breathing 20,000 times every single day is constantly beating down the sauna, the hyperbaric chamber, all the things that you're doing, right? Like you can't keep up if you're constantly being exposed.
Now, I get worried because I live in the Midwest and we've got humidifiers built into our HVAC systems.
Yeah. Big bad thing.
I know.
Big bad. Big
but as a precaution, just like I go and get, you go and get to a doctor physical, can you give your house the dust test physical every year? Or is it too redundant to do it every year?
You can see what it looks like. I mean, there's nothing wrong with keeping an eye on it. The thing is, you have to understand that there's always going to be something there. What you're hoping to see between like the first times, like for example, I did function health. I did the whole function health panel, right? So their whole thing is you do the first thing, you see what's elevated. I had 16 things that were out of line, and a lot of it was to do with my heart. And I started freaking out like I was going to die. Fish oil, need a lot more fish oil.
Don't we all?
But the idea is then, hey, make some changes, retest yourself. For them, it's in 6 months, right? See what your panels look like, right? So it's the same idea, right? If you go through and you're like, hey, the stuff doesn't come into your house for no reason. There's sources in your house, right? You've been through this process, right? It's in the shower, it's in this room, it's in this wall, it's in this HVAC, wherever it is. So you have to make some changes, and we help prioritize those and what that looks like, obviously, and then come back and see where you're sitting, and then compare that with how you're feeling, right? And it's like a combination of the 2 things. So it's definitely worth like having checks to see where you're at, but you got to do something first before you do a second one. And the do something isn't, I'm going to air flush and put an air purifier in my house and then recheck it. The do something is if you have a dust load or if you have a mold load in your dust at your house, I told you the stats, right? So these people have mycotoxins in their body. There's 11 different mold types in the house. So where are they coming from in the house? Is it this wall, this ceiling, this cabinet, whatever? Come in, exposure map the whole house, which is, what we inspect does, obviously. Figure all that out. Identify the main drivers that we think are driving it.
Yep.
You're going to have to do some action on remediation on a couple things, right? If you want to see a reduction in the result down the road, you got to solve the thing that's causing the elevation down the road.
Totally.
Do a little bit there, clean the house so you get a fresh starting point afterwards. And then you kind of see what builds up over time. And that's going to let you know is, did I do enough? Or do I need to do more? And overlay that with, well, how am I feeling? Because if I'm feeling better, I could show you numbers all day, but that's not
Right.
why you're doing it. You're
Right.
doing it for progression of yourself, right?
Correct. Yep.
So you start like kind of balancing out like how's my progression looking like with what I'm doing in the house, and these become data points along the way. But if you don't have these data points, like
Yeah.
you're spinning your wheels trying to solve problems and
Totally.
nothing works.
No, exactly. I mean, I'm a fighter by nature.
Mm-hmm.
When my son was diagnosed with autism, I was relentless out in the media and like doing talks across the country and just educating moms and being like, just a warning, this happened to me, it could happen to you, blah, blah, blah. But now with this mold stuff, it's so heartbreaking seeing how it can also financially devastate people
Mm-hmm.
because you're not only having to fix your body, your house is so expensive to fix. And the insurance companies screw you over. It's like, I want to be able to figure out how to fight for people. Like I want to go fight on Capitol Hill, like something,
Yeah.
because these poor people need help. They really do. And when the fact that insurance doesn't cover it, it makes me crazy. And that
Mm-hmm.
some builders aren't liable,
Mm-hmm.
like there has to be some change, in the government, something that I haven't figured out quite how to do yet because I'm still detoxing myself.
Yeah.
But I'm not giving this, crusade up. I'm going to be a fighter in this category for a while.
Well, let's talk about it. Have a relationship with the Change the Era Foundation.
Are they?
They're actively changing like
Dun, dun, dun,
laws. Have done it in a few states specifically on things around disclosures and what has to be shown and like what qualifies as certain things, and that's like the big initiative for them. So I was founding member of Change the Era Foundation, and then had to pull back because we had other things going on.
Right.
But we'll figure that out.
Oh,
If
that's
you want to
great.
do that, we can connect that. You have an issue. Now it's like, okay, we got to figure out the house.
Yeah.
I don't know how you found us actually, but I'm curious just like how you even got to finding us. Was there other people beforehand, or were you directly? But like, what was that like?
My functional medicine doctor, I said, listen, we don't want any Joe Schmo. I said, we need, because remember, I'm coming off of 9 surgeries. I'm
Yeah.
like, I had a person, I remember at another house come over that was a mold inspector, and they were like, literally said to us, you got to find the mold and then we can come and test it. I was like, I'm sorry. That literally what they came over, and I had to write a check for them to just come over and say that. You got to find it, and then we'll tell you if it's mold. So
Oh my
when I said
gosh.
to her, I go, we need the best of the best. And she goes, well, there's one that's the best of the best, and that's we inspect. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I have to ask you who it was afterwards.
Yeah. She was great.
Yeah.
She was right.
Well, I'm very glad. A lot of people don't get that,
No.
and they go through the whole rigmarole of going through. And they hire the person you brought in,
Right.
and they go through, and they have to hire multiple people. And we were talking about this timeline, right? So
Yeah.
you were 5 years before you got to this point.
Yeah.
If your doctor wasn't like, just go here and figure this out right away, and then you had to spend generally it's like 2 years for people, because they'll have someone come out, they'll say everything's fine,
Exactly.
and then they'll think everything's fine.
That's right.
Then they'll go back to their doctor, be like, everything's fine.
Right.
And the doctor's like, okay, everything must be fine, because what's the doctor know, right?
Right.
Like they're not going to the house. Then they keep you on the protocols, and they start retesting you, and you got to wait time to retest to see if things are progressing.
That's true.
6 months goes by, 12 months goes by. You're not really progressing. I think you still have a mole problem in your house.
Well,
This is literally what happens.
It's what happens. My girlfriend who went and she just recently, she's like, I got this. And she didn't want any recommendations. And that's fine.
Mhm.
And she's like, I've got people. Well, she called me. She's like, the mold people left. And I go, how many days were they there? She goes, days. They were only here an hour. And I was like, what? What? You can't just test. You can't really, truly test your home in an hour.
When you have a larger place, we were there multiple days.
Yeah.
Most places you can get through in a day,
Oh, really?
but it's
But
like
in an hour?
it's like 6, 7, 8 hours. It's
Right,
not
exactly.
It's not an hour.
It was
right?
probably 45 minutes they were there. I go,
Yeah.
did they look behind any walls? No. I was like, that's not real.
Yeah. It's actually funny when you think about it. So like the term is an inspection, but when you're not looking for anything, what are you doing? We joke around. We call them pump jockeys. So what they're doing is they're just taking air samples, but not actually looking for anything. So you're not really an inspector at all. You're not assessing anything.
No.
You're not investigating anything.
No.
You're coming in and grabbing a couple things like a lab tech.
Exactly.
Like, that's what you're doing.
It's a joke.
And
like,
when you actually say that to someone, like the look on your face, you're like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of, like I hired an inspector and they're
Right.
literally not inspecting anything. It's like
nothing. And they want me to find it.
Yeah, they want you to find it.
Okay, mold inspector.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Okay, so you come through. So let's talk about, I mean, what was your expectation, I guess, before going in? So you were kind of pre-set up that like this is the best of the best that you're about to get
Yes.
into. What was your expectation of what that was going to look like before we came in? And then maybe like what was after we came in, how was it different or
Well, I thought in my brain it was going to look like you take a sledgehammer to every wall. That's what my you know, like the picture in my head was every wall was gone down to like the studs.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have to completely rebuild our whole house.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I catastrophize, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
finding out that you'd use a pin style little hole that you just drop behind, it was not invasive at all. Like it was, first of all, you're the greatest team. Love them so much.
Thank you.
Super sweet, very detailed.
Mhm.
Like I thought I knew every crevice in that house. And when she was like, come check out the spot, I'd be like, I didn't even know this existed. So it was really fascinating to watch the artistry. Honestly, that's what I would call it.
Wow.
The artistry of the inspection. It was phenomenal.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's very surgical.
That's right.
It's very, I mean, frankly, on our end, what gets pushed down is like, if we don't find it, we can't help get it fixed.
Right.
And if we don't find it, not that we can guarantee, you know, nobody guarantees you find every single thing, but like, if you miss stuff, people stay sick. Like, this is the message internally. It's not like
Right.
I'm going to go, you know, take a test and be on for it. It's like, if we miss something, there's like real human consequences here
Exactly.
on missing stuff.
Yes.
And that's why there's like such an
It's
attention
missing
to
the
detail.
cancer in the organ as you're operating.
Exactly.
You know, you have to be like, oh, that spleen is fine. And you totally miss the cancer,
Yeah.
you know? So you can tell that you guys were so detailed. And then the house was just completely back to normal. It didn't look like you guys were there for many days, you know, dissecting the house at all.
So we go through, we run all, you know, we get the test, we run the data, right? Very important. You got to have the data of everything so we can figure out what's important, right? So report comes, you get information, you and I get on the phone. What was your feeling coming into that call? And then what was your feeling coming out of the call after we spoke?
You know, I was suffering from so much. I remember talking to you and being like, I think I had a rash. I was like not feeling good. I was
Mhm.
so fatigued that it almost seems a little dreamlike, to be honest. I think I was in such shock still. And all I remember thinking of while you talking is, I need this done now. Like everything you said, I'm like, okay, I'm never entering a bathroom again for the rest of my life. I'm never going to shower again for the rest of my life. When you you think like, oh my God, we clean our house so well, but there's still mold in the shower. It's like that kind of stuff is like shocking. Like you can have maids, you can have, you know, be an OCD cleaner, and no matter what, you know, don't be naive.
Yeah.
It's hiding.
Yeah. It's funny. A lot of times we'll work with people. We're like, oh, we having the house clean, or we keep, you know, our house new, we keep a clean house. It's like, it's not about the house being clean. I used to joke around. I'm like, honestly, drop me in the house that's just been cleaned, and I will show you all the places that have not been cleaned.
Right.
And then you can get your
That's true.
housekeeper on the line
That's true.
and be like, yo, like what's going on here?
You know, I wish I had all the money in the world to like sneak you into my work. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Because I also really like me and my makeup artist who got so sick in my dressing room,
Mhm.
just to see the possible culprit there, you know, to dissect the machine, to look behind the walls so I can yell at it and say, I'm so mad at you, you know, something like just to get it out. But at least I was able to never have to go into that building again. So that's good.
Yeah.
And then we got to redo our entire bathroom. So
Yeah. And so when we were talking, I don't know if you remember, but like the priority plan, how did that land? Just kind of curious. So we come in like, hey, there's a number, you know, there's some things, right?
yeah.
But being able to kind of get through to the point where you felt like you could say, hey, we're going to do the bath and we're going to do a couple of things.
Yeah, that helped. That really helped because then it's not overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're like, listen, these, according to the test, you should really, you know, your shower is looking the worst, you know?
Yeah.
If you want to gut out underneath your sink, you can, but that can be phase 2.
Yeah.
So having those kind of things made it less overwhelming, especially since you're already having a nervous system, you know, craziness going on. The way you guys did it made it seemed manageable.
So now you've done some work in the house. You're feeling better from what we talked about earlier.
I feel so much better.
So let's talk a little bit about it. So like, what have you done from then to now?
Okay.
And yeah, let's.
Okay. So I have a brand new master bathroom. So that's taken care of. Work is taken care of. And then my body, the first thing I did, because it took 3 weeks, it takes 3 weeks to get this compounded nose spray that people use called BEG spray.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be made for you. So that's why it has to be compounded. I couldn't wait 3 weeks. I was losing my mind knowing that there was this mold inside of me. So I immediately went to EBOO, EBOO.
Oh, you did EBOO.
I did EBOO.
Okay.
I did it literally 3 days after I found out I had mold. It was like, just take my
Can
veins.
you talk about it, what it is?
Sure.
Yeah.
I forgot what the acronym means, but it's blood oxygenated ozone,
like blood
something.
Cleaning, basically.
Yeah. So basically you go there and it looks just like a kidney dialysis machine.
Mm-hmm.
Not that anyone knows what that means, but you're basically taking your blood and it goes through a filter, and all the bad stuff like spike protein, inflammation, you name it, toxins gets emptied into this little bucket, and the rest of your blood goes through ozone and it gets put back into your body.
Mm-hmm.
Now people go like, aren't you dizzy of your blood leaving your body? I'm like, no, it's only taking out, you know, a little at a time and going right back in.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're watching it, you can see the dark, gross, thick blood. But when it's coming back, it's oxygenated, it's bright. So just mentally, visually seeing that, you're like, I'm getting better. But I had no idea if it was going to work. I'm like, I don't know if this is quack science, you know, you don't know. But I just had to believe that something was going to help. So I did my first session. And after my first session, I was like, oh my God, my leg cramps every night. Like my leg cramps were tear forming. I was crying every night. Okay. It was the first night I was like, they're not that bad. They just felt like maybe normal cramping, not severe.
Right.
And then I did 5 more sessions of EBOO, but after the 3rd EBOO, I had no more leg cramping. And this is before I started any other therapies.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, this shit is working. And then I noticed some clarity, my brain fog.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I literally went 2 years ago to get like a dementia test. I thought I was having early Alzheimer's.
Well, you were probably having type 3.
I was literally couldn't speak.
Which is inhalational Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I couldn't form sentences. I was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I was able to speak again. Like having a conversation like this, I really wasn't able to do it very well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to talk better. My vision got better. I stopped getting those chazelians.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped growing things. My mouth stopped being infected. So then I started the BGE spray,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm still on the BEG spray. I'm on my last week after 3 months of it. And then I've also done hyperchamber. Infrared saunas are so important.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sweat this stuff out. So I do that at least 5 days a week.
It's great.
Also, what else? Besides tons of vitamins, I have 3 categories in my head. It looks like this.
Okay.
You have to make sure that you're pooping.
Yep.
So the first thing you do, if you don't have your pathways open, lymphatic system, all of that working, you are in trouble. Like don't even start detoxing until you buy yourself a rebounder trampoline, get a dry brush, get some lymphatic drops, get everything moving and making sure the poop is going.
So let's explain why real quick. Because if you detox, so you talk about opening your pathways, right? So sweat, poop, right? These are your some of your primary pathways. If you're detoxing, this stuff is coming out and it has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
It's going to recirculate back in your body, and you're actually going to get like Herx reactions. It's going to be even worse than it was.
Yeah.
So if you start detoxing and then all the doors are sealed shut,
right?
There's nowhere for it to go.
Exactly.
So that's why this is so important. I remember when I first
So
went to a
important.
functional doctor. So like I, you know, I work with obviously so many of them, but one of them locally, I worked with a whole bunch of her patients. She's like, I want, I want you to come in and see me because I know what houses you're in every day because I'm sending you the people of the houses that you're in every day.
Right.
And she ran full workup on me. I had 3 mycotoxins in my body.
Wow.
And things going on. She's like, you know, it's interesting. She's like, you have these. They're not, she's like, I would expect them to be way worse than this because I know every house that you have been in over the last X period of time. She's like, so actually, this is good news because it means that you're mobilizing, your pathways are well, and you're mobilizing well enough. Let's just support you a little bit to kind of like keep it happening so
Yep.
you're not building this stuff up inside of you while you're out helping all these people. And
Wow.
I was like, that's so awesome. And she took me in and helped
That
me
is
out.
so awesome.
Yeah.
What a good doctor.
Yeah, she's great.
So after I got my poop taken care of
Yep.
regularly,
Yep.
then you have to work on cellular.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, your cells won't be able to detox unless they have energy. So I really started a system that created cellular detoxing support,
Like mitochondrial support.
mitochondrial support.
Yep.
And then I've also done peptides.
Okay.
So the mold peptides like LL37, KPV, although I'm not doing those at the same time, BPC 157, MOTC, just to name a few.
Mm-hmm.
NAD has really helped too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute boost from those. Really, really helpful. But I wouldn't even start those until you get a little bit more into the detox.
Can you talk through like what peptides are doing?
Those exact MOTC. MOTC I do once a week. Then I do I just finished LL37. LL37 is antimicrobial.
Yeah, more specific, like what are they
What
doing
does it?
for you?
Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
MOTC is literally putting energy into your mitochondria. It gives you the energy boost, and it's taking that tired, broken mitochondria and giving it all the energy to do its job.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I envision MOTC, like a little cartoon character. And then LL37 is antimicrobial. So it goes in especially for people that have gut infections, dysbiosis,
Mm-hmm.
really good for that. And then KPV is also for the same thing, but you don't do those at the same time. And I finished LL37 is only for a 4-week period. Then you need to take a break. These you need to cycle on and off.
Mm-hmm.
KPV, like I said, does a similar thing to the LL37 in terms of dysbiosis, gut infections, all that hoo-ha. Toxins. And then NAD, I think a lot of people know that. It's a good brain boost.
Mm-hmm.
And then BPC 157, I do the Wolverine version. And that is speedy healing. So for instance, I've got leaky gut.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps get that lining
Wow.
to grow back together more quickly.
Very
Infuses them. And also I had a lot of surgeries too.
mm-hmm.
So that helped with that. But I noticed a difference in my gut healing big time.
Wow.
And then I've also working with amazing gut doctors that they're state of the art, like they're going to become famous soon because they're helping so many autistic children.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only nice thing about my world. I get to like the top people,
Sure.
which by the way, in the comments, if you want to know who they are, I'll put them in there. But they were able to go in my gut and find specifically what was in there and what I was lacking. And then they tell me to a T what I take. So I'm on this huge protocol right now. I'm on week 6 and I'm almost done with it of repairing and bringing back all of my, because I had Clostridia. I had, from 1 to 10, dysbiosis, I was at a 10. Inflammation, I was at a 10, you know? So now it's like my gut's not swollen. I'm like, everything's working, but you have to make sure everything is lined up. So it's the, the pathways of the poop, the mitochondria energy and cellular energy. And then of course your detox. So I'm also doing a metal detox. I just started.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to overload my system.
Yeah.
But the BEG mold spray is ending next week.
It's good.
Yeah.
Your son, you brought him up. There's a very big connection, autism, mold, toxins, all that stuff. Have you noticed any difference in him at all?
You know, all of his tests came back negative.
Okay.
But I attribute that to myself, and I'll tell you why. When he was diagnosed with autism, he had the worst gut. He had the quote, immune system of a dying AIDS patient, I was told at age 2.5.
Whoa.
And I was like, how does a 2.5-year-old get an immune system of a dying AIDS patient? Well, some children cannot handle the amount of vaccines that we're giving today, 72. It's not, it's a lot. For him, he went and had seizures. He went into cardiac arrest multiple times. He had to be put into phenobarbital comas. I went mama bear crazy and just did everything I possibly could to help heal him. And I did. Like, he had severe candida. He had severe leaky gut. He had severe SIBO. He had it's just everything was severe. And by the time he was 5, he was considered recovered. Like, I no longer was allowed to get services through the state. Like, I really, really healed him. And when I did his follow-up checkups, functional medicine doctors, they're like, he's the healthiest kid that comes in our office. So it doesn't surprise me that even if there was mold floating around our house, he had the terrain to be okay with it. So he's totally fine, which is wonderful. So again, could have come from work. It could have come from my work, and I spared my family. I don't know.
Oh man, that's so great to hear.
Right?
I know.
Thank God. And again, I'd much rather take the bullet. I'll take the bullet for my family. Like, let it be me, not my family.
I work with a lot of families with kids that have autism. It's a very common thing that we see in the homes we go into.
Yeah, because they're susceptible. Their terrains are some of the hardest terrains.
Yeah,
like, my doctor always said, you should have autism based on your terrain and your blood work, because I have the same kind of gut work tests as all these, poor kids with autism.
You should have autism.
Right. And of course, again, with the possible seizures, that was scary.
Oh my goodness. All right. So we talked through a lot, story from start to finish. So now we're at the end. What's the one piece of advice you give somebody right now after going through what you've gone through and learning what?
If you have early onset of anything, and what do I mean by that? Early onset asthma, early onset allergies, early onset SIBO. If you're like, all of a sudden you find yourself telling your friends, your loved one, all of a sudden I've got blank, all of a sudden I feel blank, test. Get the dust test. Test your environment. I promise you, this test alone can save you years of heartache, years of going through the journey that I had to go through. 5-7 years of hell. Just in this one test, you're going to be able to find out in your home if it's a livable, healthy space.
So, I've been researching you, obviously, not just from my childhood, but even up through now. And, you have a very clean brand.
Yes.
Right. And it's very important to you, clearly. Why did you start Formless Beauty? What is the thought behind it? What's the goal of it?
I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to start a beauty business. Like, it wasn't a dream of mine since I was a kid. It literally came out of a desperate need. I found myself, and there could be a very much correlation because it was around the same time when I started not feeling great, but I had major sensitivities to fragrances, to allergies. I've also been very cautious because of my own son, and to make sure everything was clean. Like, all of our products were clean. And getting older, I noticed that the beauty industry was so toxic that the FDA doesn't really regulate makeup or skincare at all. Literally, like 1915 was the last true regulation. Okay.
Wow.
And you're allowing manufacturers to just say, this is all you have to say to the FDA, I don't make it in my basement. They want to know where you're stirring the paint. That's it. So you have to trust the manufacturers of they're saying, oh yeah, the lead is it's fine. So when I went and did a deep dive into other brands that I just wanted to be a customer, I looked under the hood and went, oh, you're getting away with saying you're clean and you're not. And then I kept digging, and then I'd find a clean brand and I'd use it, and it didn't work. It was crap. And I would go back to using the toxic stuff. And I was like, okay, I need to create a brand that can combine the clean, the true clean, and the performance.
Yep.
Like, I want people to go, oh, I love wearing it because it's beautiful and it works, but hey, it's clean. Or thank God it's clean and I can also look pretty. So I went to work and started with 3 lip glosses and said, let me see how it goes. Now, what does Jenny McCarthy know about clean and makeup and skincare? I don't. But you know what I did? You know what I did? I met with the Environmental Working Group. Do you know
Okay.
who they are? EWG.org. For all of you people that care about health and want to know what brands are the best and the cleanest, this is an organization that's been around for decades. They have doctors and scientists that have done all the work and dug into these products to see what's clean, and then they tell you.
Huh.
So I went to them and said, I want to create a brand based off your science. And they said, we love that. Good luck. They gave me a book of over 900 pages of unacceptable ingredients. Unacceptable ingredients, 900 pages, not 900 ingredients, 900 pages of unacceptable ingredients. And then another book of 700 restricted ingredients, and said, make your beauty brand. And I was like, oh no, this is going to be hard.
Was it specific to cosmetics, or is it
Cosmetics and skincare?
Wow.
So I was like, okay. Then when I dove into it, I was like, no wonder why no one else is doing through the EWG. To give you an idea, there's levels of an ingredient that the FDA says you can't go below 2.0, okay? I mean, you can't go above 2.0. EWG says you can't go above 0.01. So that's the difference between the FDA and EWG.
Wow.
Do you see that difference?
Yeah.
Almost impossible in makeup. And I said, I'm going to do it. So it's taken us, we're like 5 years old, and we meet with the EWG, we show them our ingredients. They look and say, oh yeah, you followed all of our restrictions and everything. Now go prove it. So we have to go third-party test
You have to
it.
get it tested. Yeah.
So we have to make sure the preservatives aren't in our aloe and things like that. So we are truly, and that's what I want to be, the cleanest makeup you can buy.
Wow.
The cleanest makeup in the world, let's be honest, is no makeup. The next best thing, I want it to be Formless Beauty.
Love it.
And for instance, our mascara is one of the only ones without hormone disruptors. They all have it. We are in glass containers, and we have skincare for men and women, by the way, all in glass containers, very clean. So this is like something you can tell I'm very passionate about, because I'm one of those people that are very sensitive, especially now that I know that I'm a very sensitive soul. I'm the canary in the coal mine. So, I want this to be kind of my legacy of going out knowing that when I'm gone, moms can pass this down to their daughters saying, I know what brand we can trust, and that's Formless Beauty.
I love that. So on my Christmas list this year, I'm always so bad at putting things on my Christmas list. My wife's like, what do you, I'm like, I don't know, like whatever. So I wrote in an Apple note and sent it to her. I wrote, fix my face is what I wrote. Because I've started to notice that I feel like I'm starting to look older now, and I never used to, right? I still look younger than I am, but I've always been someone that looked younger than I was.
Yeah.
But now it's like catching up. I'm like, fix my face.
So fun. What did she say?
She went out and curated an entire like face care regimen for me.
Wow.
And she handpicked different products from different places and did all of this stuff. Which was amazing. But I was, now we're like talking about this. I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I'm curious if you started looking at the ingredients, because this is what doesn't make sense. Why would anyone clean your face with toxins? Make that make sense to me. You're cleaning your face of the dirt and the debris and the toxins of the day with more toxins. Doesn't make sense. It's like lighting the smoke in the room and keeping the door shut.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
So I'm going to send you the skincare because the men lose their minds. They love it so much, and women, of course, but we've got just as many male clients that Donnie became an investor in the company only after he tried the skincare.
Really?
He was stealing mine. He goes, and he goes, you know what? He goes, I have noticed such a difference in my skin. I know you haven't asked me for a dime, but can I invest? I honestly believe this is gonna, because his face changed, his skin changed so much.
Whoa.
For the better. So I'm going to send you our whole little
Oh my goodness. Well, I really appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. You started talking about it, it's like I just thought about like 3 words, fix my face.
I
and
love
that's
it.
because I have no idea what to do. Guys don't know what to do.
No, I know.
Guys don't know what to do.
No, this is going to be very easy for you.
Yeah. Very
And you'll
cool.
love it.
Well, I'm excited, and I will report back on
Thank you.
how it looks.
Please do.
Cool. Well, thank you for today.
Thank
you for the
Thanks
time.
for doing what you do too.
Wow.
Thank you. And I know what everyone's going to get in their stocking, which is the dust test for Christmas.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.